Good afternoon, everyone. It's Unify from hearthealthbrainhealth.com, encouraging healthy grieving and mindful actions. Today, I want to talk to you about the next guna, which is now going to be rajas. Rajas, as I had mentioned in an earlier video, and hopefully you've seen it, I will say is more related to passionate desires, longing, could be greed, could be activity. It's always related to some activity. And of course, activity can be mental or emotional activity, or it could be physical, it could be verbal, right? So all of this can have tamas, rajas, or sattvic properties. And so when we think of a person who has more of the temperament of rajas, there's a few things to learn and think about, and you can see how much this plays in your life. So I thought I'd start this video with this quotation by Dalai Lama. And the Dalai Lama says here, "The main cause of suffering is egoistic desire for one's own comfort and happiness." The main cause of suffering is egoistic desire for one's own comfort and happiness. So you would think that, wow, if I need to make money, and we all do, how is that a desire that is egoistic? That's just literally what I need, right? Except a lot of people move from what I need to what I want, right? So if I can get this much, maybe I can get a little bit more. So this becomes a longing for more. And anything that we're passionate about, we can have a longing for more. So more communication. Let's say you've had some great conversations with your friends, but you had such a great conversation, you can't wait to speak with them again. You just think, wow, why is it taking so long to speak with that person again? How come they haven't called me? Or maybe I should call them, or that sort of idea. Or I forgot to tell them something. And there's that sort of feeling of it's not enough. And of course, in the Rajas temperament, it's more about acquiring something new, something different, something more, right? So in that state, this is motivated by egoism, and that is the unique quality of Raja's perspective. Now, you can imagine that we just talked about tamas in the last video, and someone would need a bit of rajas, let's say, just on waking up from sleep. We're waking up from a tamas state, right? It's very dull, right? We were just sleeping and we're getting up, and it requires this rajasic nature of I need to get up and eat. So even in that, it requires just a little bit of oomph, right? That little bit of oomph is provided by a rajas perspective. Now, this is not to say that a tamas person needs rajas to eat. It's just that from kind of a dull or stationary or non-moving sort of perspective, there's something that pushes a person to move forward. So let's say someone has been unemployed for 5 years and suddenly they are inspired to start looking for work, right? For whatever reason. So this could be because the person was going through something like a depression, or it could be because they didn't have confidence in themselves. And that confidence or the courage that comes is going to then apply to more of a rajasic perspective in terms of doing something. So that can be useful, right? When it's not useful is when it's very clear that it is an egoistic perspective. And that happens to many, many people, right? So something is good, but they want more, right? So, you eat a food that tastes good, but you want a bit more. You do, it could even be exercise, right? So things that we theoretically think of, this is really healthy. Well, when you start doing more and more, where you notice this person is, wow, they used to run for an hour, but now they run for 3, 4, 5. And it's not that they're training for any marathon, or maybe they are. Yeah, it becomes more and more, right? And it's almost not even satisfying to the person if they do less now. That is a rajasic state. And I came across another quotation, which is by Pema Chodron. And this quotation, I know I've used before in a different video, but I want to apply it to this so we can think about it a little bit. It says, "The ego seeks to divide and separate. Spirit seeks to unify and heal." So you can imagine this divide and separate. So what happens? People start becoming good in the work that they do. And let's say that they are self-employed. And let's say that when they become good, they feel really good, right? And that is a good feeling. But if the thought comes in and I want to beat the competitors, I want to be the best because I'm making more money or because I know the people that these people are working with, these other people, and I'm going to work with the same people. I'm going to try to win over their people. Now, this is a very different perspective from if a person is thinking of competition purely because they have something unique and beautiful to offer from a heart space. That's okay, right? If the intention is because I don't want them to get what I could be making money on, is a completely egoistic space, right? So an individual has to know themselves. Similarly, if you're working in a company and you're making a good salary, but you have an option to take over another position, and you want to make a little bit more than the other people in that same position, and you are trying to find out, oh, let me see what others are making so I can make just a little bit more. Not the same. I want to make a little bit more than everyone else because I'm that good. And you might be, but it's coming from an egoistic perspective, right? So that I don't want to be at their level because I'm better. That better than perspective is some egoistic perspective, right? So that's an awareness for you yourself to have. And today I would love for you to think about what are the times that you get into a Rajasic perspective when Rajas is much stronger in your system. So sometimes, people will think about what I hear about often is people doing a renovation in their home and their home is perfectly fine. But I really want to change this. And I see this enthusiasm and it's so wonderful to see that enthusiasm. But I might know that they've done a few other repairs just recently too and modifications. And now I might ask them that, well, what makes you want to change your kitchen right now? Well, it's because it's been forever that it hasn't changed. Maybe it's not the kitchen. Maybe it's bedding. Maybe bedding is changing, right? So it's like, oh, I've had this bedding forever. The thing is when it comes one after another, a person can know that they're in that Rajasic space. Now, some people will do this right before they're selling a home, right? And there's a purpose for it. There's a goal to make this place a better space. So I can sell it for probably a higher profit, right? Again, a little bit of greed, but at the same time, also recognizing that the perspective of the buyers will be affected by how well the home looks, right? So, what kind of things have been improved recently? It also moves into the selling price, right? So that there's a reason for that. But sometimes people get into these states for no real reason. It's just they're not satisfied with what is here. So what is here needs to be changed. It really needs to be changed. And I can see this fire that burns up people's minds and thoughts and actions. So I've got to do this because it just doesn't look right. I just can't handle it. I've seen this for a year already, right? And you might think that's funny, or you might actually have experienced this, that you might have just got a new table a year ago and suddenly you want another one because this one's just not right somehow or some way. It's not right. I need a new one, right? So that sort of idea. And so see, when are the times that you do that? And is that more your regular mode where one minute it's, I've got to get these groceries, the next minute I've got to um, change the decor, I've got to do this home repair, I've got to get a new car, I've got to get a new home itself. All of these things, right? Is it one after the other because it will tell you about your Rajasic temperament, right? So it's just to understand yourself. Now, again, even when I'm sharing these temperaments, I want you to know that we all have, again, all of these temperaments that I'll be talking about. And this is in no way a license to start looking at other people and saying, oh, that person's a bit more tamas than I am, and I'm a little bit more rajas. And again, with whatever ego that is in that perspective, because to judge others when you don't really know their entire perspective is, yeah, a little bit egoistic itself, right? So let's just say that this is for your information, and I hope that you will use it in a way to improve yourself. I wanted to finish today's video with one quotation by Epictetus. And this quotation also matches this particular perspective, but even just this whole direction that I'm going to be trying to teach you in this series. This quotation says, if you want to improve, you must be content to be thought of foolish and stupid. Let me say that again. If you want to improve, you must be content to be thought foolish and stupid. And isn't that interesting? Who would be content to be thought those things, right? But when we suddenly are able to see that about ourselves, that, wow, I can't believe I've been doing this. I do think this way. This is what I do. These are the thoughts that run in my own mind regularly. And remember, the whole intention here is to know thyself. So I hope that today you know yourself just a little bit better, and I wish you a fabulous day ahead. And I hope you remember, transform your mind and transform your life. Have a great day, everyone.